Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you all, good to see you. Let me just make sure everything is working properly. Alrighty. I think we're good. Alright, so I'm just working on figuring out some map navigation stuff. Like I said yesterday, I was kind of trying to think about ways to fix the deficiencies with the map gameplay, and you know, it's a tough problem. I couldn't really figure out ways of making the map movement or map navigation more compelling without also ballooning the scope. Like everything every way I thought of to make the map more compelling involved like adding new events and adding new things to discover and all this stuff. And, you know, we just don't have time to do all that stuff. So we're taking a radical different approach. We're taking more of like a Slay the Spire approach now, and this is just a prototype, so I don't know if this is going to really solve anything or if this is going to be used for the final version of the game, but we're using a directed graph now, which is like what Slay the Spire uses, but I am retaining elements of what sort of made the map generation interesting to begin with. So the Fog of War, for example, is staying. So it's going to be a directed graph with a Fog of War. So maybe that will make it a little bit more interesting than just being able to see everything up front. And the map node placement is still very organic feeling. So yeah, anyway, I'll show you all that and how that's working in just a second. Before we do that, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler. So if that sounds interesting to you, check it out. I also neglected to mention the key hook of the game, which is that you can use alchemy to create your own builds and synergies. So yeah, if that sounds good, definitely check it out. You could also support the game on Patreon. You get a couple of great perks for subscribing at either tier, but if you subscribe for at least 1 month at this sponsor tier here, I'll send you an Alchemortis Steam key so you don't have to buy it on Steam. So this is kind of like a pre-purchase, and your name will be listed in the in-game Alchemortis credits. Of course, the other way you could support me, though, is by purchasing one of my Udemy courses. These will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine, and it's a great way to support me as I'm trying to get this game developed. So yeah. Definitely appreciate all the support. You can also like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow on Twitch, all that good stuff. And we could say hello to everyone. Hello, Ninja Link, welcome back. Hello, Itjoy, welcome. Jahar, good to see you again. Emerson, hello, hello. I remembered to stream on Twitch today. That's good. So let me see. So I'll show you the map the way it currently looks now. It's going to look largely the same. But, of course, we're back to sort of like a vertical orientation for the map. So we start off at the start node, that branches out, becomes wider. You go up the map here, and then this collapses down into the single stronghold node. And then we go into the second region. Same deal, and then into the third region here. And then the final stronghold is up here. So I just got the map gen sort of in a good spot. There are still some problems with it. Like, I don't know how to do this better, but some of these edges are a little bit too long. Like, I don't like how long this edge is here. I would much rather put an edge here and an edge there. But, you know, this is just a prototype, so it doesn't need to be perfect. Just trying to, you know, get it feeling good and looking good. So, and again, it's a directed graph now, which means that you can't just go to any connection. There's a direction to it. And I don't yet know how I'm going to indicate that direction. I may just end up using that path shader that I showed in the Discord, but let me see. So I'm going to turn off hide fog of war. So I think the fog of war is still there. So again, the fog of war is designed to kind of prevent you from planning out your route purely ahead of time. So it's adding some intrigue to the traversal, I guess. But the interesting thing about the fog now is that it's going to reveal nodes in a directed fashion. So you can see how it's kind of like branching out, right? We've got 3 nodes revealed ahead of us, going in every direction, every branch. And I can go visit the nodes like I normally can. So we're getting this. And the cat is being distracting again, very cool. So as I go forward, yeah, I can still reveal nodes through the fog of war. Goodness gracious, that's distracting. Okay, hopefully that helps. I'm just gonna add God mode so that I can just get through these combats. This looks good. Glad you like it. The malicious rabbit. We'll see. We have to playtest it a bit. Can we still backtrack? No, the backtracking has gone away. So the problem with the free roam approach is that. So basically, the main struggle I was having was like the pressure system, right? Which, by the way, if we're gonna have to remove this notoriety penalty too. So the notoriety penalty for nodes is gonna go away as well. So the problem with the free roam is that the pressure was just not. It wasn't working. Like being able to free roam the map, but also then having the pressure of like trying to push the player into combat, into boss fights. It was just not working well. So with the directed graph approach, what is nice about this is that you still retain your ability to make decisions about your pathing. So for instance, here's an interesting decision, right? It's like, I mean, maybe you could argue that this is not a super interesting decision, but, you know, like there's two pathways I could go here, right? I could go this way and grab a health upgrade and grab an obelisk, right? Or, and I'm gonna probably need to change the obelisk too if I stick with this, or I could go through the artifact path, but I can't do both of these, right? Like I can't hit the health and the artifact. So there's an interesting choice there now, or there could be an interesting choice there anyway. But I can still, you know, choose to avoid combats or whatever. But again, that's going to limit my opportunities to get blood the more combats I avoid. So everything's an explicit trade-off now. So instead of just looking at like, oh, the cost and having this like loose pressure mechanic, it's more explicit of a choice, right? It's like, if I go this way, I'm not going to be able to take the artifact, right? So we'll go to the artifact here. We'll grab this. Grab the pot. Whatever. And so now I can't backtrack, you know, and I can't visit that node. There's nothing I can do here. Now, I think there could still be opportunities to maybe, you know, break the rules a little bit. But we'll have to see. Hello, Jackie Daytona. Welcome back. Good to see you. So I want to make sure that this is still good. So if I go to the booster here, I actually don't know. Am I going to be able to go to that enchant? I don't think so. No, I can't go to the enchant. Yeah, so basically any node that is below the node that you're on is basically not going to be visitable. So only the nodes that are further up are visitable. So we're going to have to make that a little bit clearer. I think there's a number of ways to do that, but so yeah, like I said, this is going to need to be play tested for sure. Going to need to put some effort into doing that, but see, here's kind of an interesting decision too. Again, we have the artifact. Whether I go to the artifact or the booster, though, I'm ultimately going to have to go through this node. Go to the shop here. We'll just skip this. Yeah, so that is highlighting that over there, which shouldn't be happening because I don't think I can even get there. So we're going to need to look at the fog of war stuff a little bit. Yeah, so it's highlighting nodes that way when that direction is not navigable. So I need to figure that out. But anyway, so let's just get all the way to the end, I guess. Obviously, I need to redo the combat scaling again because that was made with for a different reason, or made with a different mechanic in mind. But yeah, I can see myself making more decisions now. With the older one, I could always backtrack and grab the nodes I wanted. Yes, and I like the pressure system is there just intuitively, right? Like there's only so many nodes you can visit because you're being forced constantly upward, right? And so yeah, and the decision making is still going to be important because there are going to be paths that you can take that contain more nodes along them than other paths, right? Now you can only see a handful of nodes in front of you, but you know, that's the core idea, is that now you have a finite number of nodes you can visit before you end up at the boss fight. And I think that forcing function being a lot more explicit is probably going to be better, because not only are you going to be dealing with the new alchemy system with the abilities and whatnot, but you're going to have to make do with whatever cards you've acquired up to this point, right? So instead of giving the player as much time as they want to just upgrade their stuff, we're now in a situation where if your build isn't coming together, like, you're gonna have to find a way to make it work. You know, you might have to use an intermediate build, or like a build that just kind of cobbled together to just make it through the boss to begin with. So yeah, we'll see. Now I think we could get elite battle nodes more dangerous and rewarding. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have those patrol flag nodes, I think. But I think what I'll do is instead of having them patrol, I think I'll just plant them like on the road. And so instead of being a node, they'll still like affect a region of nodes. But I haven't decided, like, those are disabled for now. So a lot of things are going to have to change here. I think the obelisk has to change as well, because it could potentially change nodes that you can no longer visit, which means that the obelisk is probably not going to be appropriately placed like near here, because that's going to be not so good. But so then, yeah, I have to go through the stronghold here. I have to fight the boss. And I just beat him with my mutton stick. I get the soul of Mayor Albrecht. And then we are going through here. So all of those power upgrades are going to have to go away. So yeah, I mean, I think that's feeling okay. I do like the decisions are more explicit, right? It's more sacrificial in nature. Like, when you choose a certain path, the other paths are not going to be visible, right? So you have to kind of make judgment calls about what you want. So, you know, I guess there's a reason why Slay the Spire did their map the way that they did. But I think this is a nice take on it. Like, it's a directed graph, but it's still different in that it has the fog of war, and there are more connections as well. Like, there's more interconnectivity with the map. With Slay the Spire, it's like there's a couple of lanes, and then there's like some minor, you know, lateral moves you can make, I believe. But this one is a lot more interconnected, so I could feasibly, in certain situations, like here, for example, right? I could go all the way up this path here, and then like swing back around. And that's probably going to net me more nodes, more events, than if I were to just go straight up, beeline it to the stronghold, you know what I mean? So that's a consideration that you have to make as well. And of course, you know, this isn't perfect yet. I'm going to have to fix some of these edges, I think, but you know, I can see the strengths here. Is the entire map Procedural? Yes. Yeah. It's all generated randomly. So, I mean, yeah, I think that's feeling pretty good. So the directional movement is done. Let me see why the fog of war. Highlight visitable nodes. Proximity nodes to reveal. That's probably not correct. So this is going to be get directed. Get outgoing connections within depth. That's probably what I want. Okay, let's see if that works. The obelisk will have to change. Hello, Kusei, welcome back. Good to see you. So is this correct? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So just bear with me. I'm just going to step through this and make sure that this is only revealing, because it doesn't make sense for the fog of war to reveal anything that you can't visit, right? So I can visit those. I can visit that. Cool. It may make sense to hide the nodes or unreveal the nodes you can no longer visit as well, but I'll have to think about that. So we also need to remove the Inquisition strength mechanic. So that Inquisition strength mechanic is just going to go away entirely if we keep this. So let's go here. Oh, I put the wrong thing on the board. Oops. I put flint on the board. That's not going to help me. I didn't even think about it either, but that new boss souls, that new boss soul mechanic is going to be really interesting with the, with the new ability system. Sudo apt update. Hello. Welcome. Okay, so that trigger node is affecting nodes that are not reachable. So I should probably just note that. That's done. Okay. No worries. Hello, how are you doing? Welcome back to the stream. I think you've been here before. Let's upgrade God mode. I think it's going to do 10,004 damage. Nice. That extra 4 damage is going to make a very big difference. Okay, yeah, so this is working now. So you can see that my path is only being revealed along the path that I can actually visit. None of this is being revealed now, which is good. So I still like the Fog of War. I think the Fog of War, especially like, because there's a lot of nodes to visit. So the Fog of War is serving still a very important function, which is that I don't want the players to just sit at the start node and plan their route through the game for the first like 5 minutes of the run. I want some of the decision making to have to happen on like an ad hoc basis, you know what I mean? And then the other interesting thing too is that artifacts like the telescope are going to become a lot more powerful in this system because you'll be able to see further ahead. And that's going to help you make decisions a lot better. Because I think with the previous free roam, like being able to see further ahead was not that useful. But when you have a directed graph now where after you make a decision, you're cutting off entire pathways, Why are those ones being highlighted? I don't think that should have happened. Anyway, why are these ones being highlighted? So there's still some wonkiness here with the fog reveal. I'm gonna have to figure out, but that's all right. Doing great. How about you? I'm doing all right. I was up until 1 a.m. last night trying to get this new map prototype working. Actually, I ended up prototyping like 3 different technical approaches to this last night. Finally landed on this one, which is working pretty good, I guess, I suppose. I mean, it is working well. I think I just need to clean up a lot of these things here, so. In anywho, what else do we have? So, Fog of War only reveals directional. Use pathline to indicate visitable nodes. Let's try that. I'm kind of in a situation where I hate to admit it, but I think that this map approach is already working much better. I wanted to make the free roam work. That was one of the ideas that I really wanted to make work, but it just didn't work. Or I couldn't make it work. But I suppose there's a reason why you don't see those kinds of like free roam maps in these kinds of games. Anyway, what was I doing? Pathline to indicate visible nodes. Okay, so let's take this path line here. Let's we'll make this invisible by default. We've got the path line there. So I think this is actually going to be easy. For each var outgoing node in currently occupied node outgoing connections, we are going to take that path. So show path highlights. We're going to take that path line var new line is equal to path line dot duplicate. That's going to be a node, that's fine. Pathline dot points is equal to currently occupied node dot position, outgoing node dot position. I think that's right. We are going to need to grab this, let's just call this path lines. And we'll grab that reference. Okay. Path lines dot add child new line. We get rid of this. Oh, and then we need to do path line dot visible is equal to true. Okay. For var I is equal to 0, I is less than path lines dot get child count. Actually, let's just set I equal to 1 here, so we skip the first one. We're going to do path lines get child at I dot queue free. Okay, let's see what that does. Hello, MKRD, welcome back. What's up with the new changes in Alchemortis? Well, we're redoing the map again. So there's the path line effect. So this shows you which nodes you can go to next. We may end up redoing that, but just to improve clarity a little bit. Oh, and those are not being freed. Oh, path lines dot get child count. So we can see the lines where we can go next. That will help a little bit with just indicating to the player where they can navigate. But yeah, so what we're working on is we're doing a directed graph approach for the map. Why is that not freeing? Are you kidding me? I guess I'm just going to do all my code wrong today. I was up until 1 a.m. like I said, so I'm a little bit slow. So this is more like Slay the Spire now. Yeah, it's got a directed graph like Slay the Spire. I'm still trying to differentiate it from Slay the Spire. So one major differentiator again is the Fog of War, and also just the sheer number of nodes you can visit. Right, Slay the Spire is like what? There's like maybe I could be misremembering, but there's like 10 to 15 nodes, something around there, that you can visit before you have to fight the boss. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm misjudging that, maybe it's closer to 20 or something, but with this one, I think I am logging how many nodes are being placed. Yeah, so each region has like 70 to 80 nodes in here. So the amount of upgrade opportunities is much larger, and then the Fog of War also makes it so that you cannot see all the routes that you could take from the get-go, right? And it's a lot more interconnected than Slay the Spire's graph, so like I can branch off in a lot of different ways. Good morning, Chris. How you doing? Crazy progress so far. I'm impressed by how open-minded you are to changing almost any mechanic in your game. That's very admirable. Oh, trust me, it's not easy. But, you know, like one of the common pieces of game dev advice is like sometimes you just have to kill your ideas. Like sometimes being married to an idea is just not what's going to be good for the game. And trust me, like I tried very, very hard to keep the free roam approach in the game, but it was just creating game design problems that I could not resolve. And the path to resolving those things was all about like leaning more into the exploration side of things. But this is not an exploration game, right? That's not the point. Like the point of the game is not the map interaction. The point of the game is the synergy building. And so, yeah, I think this directed graph approach, it solves all the problems of the free roam in a much more elegant way. So it's unfortunate. I'm still not really that happy about moving to a directed graph approach, but I have to begrudgingly admit that it is working better from a game design perspective already. So it's painful. It's painful. I didn't want to drop the free roam, but I mean, I haven't made a final decision yet, but I'm looking at this already. I'm like, yeah, this is already fixing so many problems, you know? So it's just like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? My baby's dead. My baby died. Most devs would be very hesitant to change the thing that poured a lot of time into. Yeah, I mean, I was hesitant. Don't get me wrong. Like it was, like I said, it was something I didn't want to do. Hello, Snupbill. Thank you for the IDR 10,000. Welcome back. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. With the message yummers, we all appreciate that. Look at that. Can we get should we do the Twitch thing? Can we get a yummers train going? How many yummers can we get in a row before a non-yummers chat message comes in? So we have a streak of 2. Can we get to 10 yummers? Let's see. That's 3 yummers. The Spider Mint, welcome to the stream. We need 7 more yummers. Let's get the yummers train going. Can I cheat? Can I add a Yummers myself? Thank you. Now you. Oh, I don't know how to say your name. Nahua Kang. I'm gonna add a Yummers myself just to cheat a little bit. So we're at 5 now. There we go. Oh no! I think that counts as it. I don't think you can go twice. I don't think you can go twice. So we got to 5. We got to 5. It's all right. So anyway, I'm just kind of clicking around here. Yummers. Hummers. All right, all right, all right. People are griefing now. People have griefed the Yummers train. It's okay. Hello, Wooius. Welcome back. Good to see you. Also good to see you, Jack. Welcome, welcome. I really like this line effect, how that turned out. Changes the map we're working on. We're doing more of a Slay the Spire approach where the map is a directed graph now instead of free roam. So as you can see, like, I can't backtrack at all. I can only go upward, basically. So yeah, we need to, what else do we need to do? Rebalance node tiers. Why does it look like there's a node not showing up? You mean like here or here? How easy was it add the debug console to the game? I'm wondering if I should do it for my games. It depends. Let me answer Ninja Link first. So the Fog of War only highlights nodes that you can theoretically visit now. So when I go to this node here, it's not going to reveal this one because I can't visit that node, right? Because I can only move upward. So the rule is, it's kind of like just a very basic rule, but the rule is like it establishes an outgoing directed connection to any nodes that are. So we're still doing a Delaunay triangulation to relate all the nodes together, but it's saying that an outgoing connection is only, it's only an outgoing connection if the node's Y position is less than this Y position. And it's less than because the bottom of the map here, this is like Y3000, and we're approaching Y0 as we go up. So any node which is a neighbor of the node that you're on and also has a Y position that is less than the current node's Y position is a valid traversal connection. So if I visit this node here, this Y is higher, lower on the screen, higher in value. And so that's why it's not being highlighted. Sorry, 1 second. You know what these SMS apps need? They need like a remind me feature. I just got a text with something that I want to remember, but I want to be I want to be reminded of it again with like a notification or something in like an hour. But oh well, we'll see. Autocorrect decided I would be the one to end the train. That's right. That's all right. You're fully on game dev or doing other things while creating your game? Yeah, fully game dev. Fully game dev. Seems kind of difficult to implement. It's all right. Maybe you should still reveal those notes just to show the player what they missed out on. That is an option. Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I just figured you know, maybe just not showing them is better. Anyway, back to the question about how easy it was to add the debug console. Yeah, it depends on how your code is set up. I mean, the debug console, in my case, it just reaches out to a bunch of singletons for the most part to change things. And I've got like registries, which are kind of like, you could think of them as like little databases of items. So for instance, when I want to add a card, or let's say when I want to list items, this is just pulling from the registry. So on startup, I'm just loading up all of the items that are in the game and, you know, mapping them by ID and so on and so forth. And, you know, it's very easy to just do that because the registry is just a static singleton class. So I can access that from anywhere basically. But, you know, adding a card to the board, again, the player board is kind of like a singleton. I have a board manager, which is the only board manager instance, and I can find the player board through the board manager, and then I have methods to add cards or add items to the player board, so on and so forth. So it largely depends on like what your code looks like, how easy it will be to add a debug menu. But creating the actual menu and handling the commands themselves, that's easy. That's not a problem. I wonder why I'm using orange there. Hold on a second. Okay, that looks better. I really shouldn't be playing with this right now, but that's all right. Not alpha cutoff. Okay, anyway, that's a tangent that I don't need to go on, but there we go. Brighten it up a little bit. Okay, anyway. Ensure all wave function collapse placement rules are still being respected. I'll do that later. Remove the Inquisition strength mechanic. Alrighty. I'm just going to go ahead and run map node. We're just going to go ahead and strip this out. Enemy strength penalty, goodbye. Goodbye. Modify enemy strength. Oh, I'm gonna have to get rid of all the... Okay. That goes away. So I'm doing this on a different branch so I can be as destructive as I want and it doesn't matter. But there's no reason to have like an enemy strength anymore, like a notoriety or anything. That is no longer necessary. Increase notoriety penalty map node effect. Delete this here. Remove that. Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna need to change. Yeah, let's see. Remove async combat upgrades and async non-combat upgrades. Hello, Arion. Welcome back. Sweeping map changes. What's happening? Hi, by the way. Hello, Johan. Welcome back. We are doing a directed graph for the map instead of free roam. So if you think like Slay the Spire, that's basically what we're doing now. This run progress bar, which has existed in some way since basically the beginning of the game. Can I get an F in the chat for the run progress bar, which is now going to be removed? What? Remove. What the heck? Goodbye. I know my graph's awesome. Gotta love it. I love how graph theory sounds like super sophisticated, and then it's just basically flowcharts. F, yeah. Goodbye, run progress bar. Okay, enemy strength cleared, that goes away. Enemy strength changed, that goes away. I'm gonna need to rework the eyeball node, or the eyeball item as well. Pending enemy strength change, that goes away. Remove cheat to upgrade combats. What is the intended effect of the change? The intended effect of the change is to solve a bunch of game design issues that the free roamer is presenting. So remove, sorry. So the free roam, there was a couple of problems with free roam. One, it wasn't clear where you needed to go as a player, which, you know, in and of itself is not a problem that requires a rework, but you didn't know where to go. The pressure wasn't really there. I mean, the enemy strength penalty was not very clear as to what that was doing. After you defeated a stronghold for a region, then you had to basically walk across the map to an undiscovered region, which was not appealing at all. And so, yeah, I think just like the pressure wasn't there in the free roam. And the other thing is too, is like the regions aren't different enough from each other to make the exploration worthwhile. So we have all these like problems where, like, to make an exploration mechanic compelling would require all of this scope ballooning that really ultimately is not like what the game is about. Like, this isn't an exploration game, but I had an exploration mechanic which was essentially like tacked onto it, right? And like I said, there was no way to make that work in a very compelling manner without doing a bunch of stuff, like implementing a bunch of mechanics just for the exploration. So yeah, that's why we're trying a different approach here. State combat encounter upgrade, these go away. Okay, so we're gonna have a bunch of problems here, but let's just build and see where the problems are. P equals NP. Hello, Fira. Welcome. Good to see you again. What's the best way to design an enemy AI for strategy turn-based games? Maybe you can give me some pointers. I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, yeah, it's going to largely depend on how your game works. Like, I've seen approaches where, like, you basically just use a heuristic to determine, like, what ability. So, like, if your enemies have, like, certain abilities they can do that they need to do in certain situations, you have, like, a heuristic system, which basically, like, you know, it takes into account the player's health and the player's strength and, like, you know, maybe even, like, what items the player has. And you use, like, a scoring system to determine which enemy ability or tool or whatever is going to be, like, the best to use in that situation, or, like, close to the best to use in that situation. But I have no idea how that actually looks in practice. We're not going to worry about stripping that one out just yet. Generate wanted levels is going away. I guess we don't really need this tutorial state anymore. We don't need this enemy strength anymore. Enter state enemy strength. Okay, let's build this again. Sounds like the right move. Remove a bunch of stuff and streamline the experience. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Where enemy has the same similar tools as a player, yeah. I sound like ChatGPT. Free map is almost always fall on lack of incentive to explore. Yeah, and I'm just like I said, this is not an exploration game, and I also don't have the skill to make an exploration game compelling. So I just think the exploration doesn't work, you know? No, so I don't want the players to be able to plan their route from the very beginning. I don't want players to spend, 5 minutes at the beginning of the game saying, oh, this is the exact route that I'm going to go. For a couple of reasons. I mean, one, there's a lot of nodes. Like there's 80 nodes in each region. So the regions are still relatively big. And I just don't want the player to sit there and like grab their screenshot tool and say, I'm going to go to all these nodes and like optimize ahead of time. I still want that element of like having to make on the fly decisions. So that's why the Fog of War is staying. You still doing code review videos on YouTube? I like them a lot. Yeah, not at the moment. My focus is on this game, but I'm sure the code review will return at some point. You're absolutely right. You don't just sound like ChatGPT. You sound like a full-fledged AGI, and honestly, that's valid. All good, Fira. All good. We're gonna have pixel art time today. Probably not. Probably not. I think most of today is just going to be doing this map stuff. Basically stripping everything out, removing all of my hard work. Hello, coding. W123, welcome. So we can get rid of the wanted label here in the map node tooltip. That goes away. Okay, and then we can go to the cheat helper. Okay, I hope I did everything. I thought I got rid of this. Did I get rid of something wrong? Oh, yeah. We have to get rid of this. Now the sundial needs to be fixed. How are you? I'm doing well. How are you doing? Relax, I'm all for the code. Yep. Well, code is what we're gonna do. Get rid of this. Get debug enemy strength. Just get rid of that. I'll fix that. Well, I guess I can remove it from here for now. Okay. Hello, Huang Viet. I hope I said that correctly. You look so cool. Thank you. Thank you. So the patrol flags, I need to figure out what to do with those. Maybe those will be resurrected for elite fights or something. Okay, let's build. Okay, all right. I guess we'll just run the game and make sure that this is indeed working. As a guy who only ever finished game jams before, I feel overwhelmed when trying to start a long time project. Maybe it's just me. I'm sure after a few more jams I'll be ready. Well, yeah, having a long-term project is definitely a different skill set. It's definitely a different skill set. Really? That didn't update the run. That didn't update the run manager. Unique ID. Can I just remove this? Failed to load resource, that's fine. We're gonna delete that. Save. Okay, let me just see if this is gonna work now. That's one of the nice things about Godot is that if you have a problem with your scene, you can just edit it directly. So I just manually removed anything related to the run progress bar in my run manager there, and it seems like it worked. Yeah, there we go. No more run progress bar. Sad. You need a clear vision of what you want, in my opinion. That's much easier to develop. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta, like, the thing with a long-term project is, yeah, not only does it just take more effort, not only is it going to be more probably mechanically deep, but you have to manage your scope very carefully too. And, you know, that's something that I still struggle with for sure, but I'm trying real hard to get Alchemortis out the door, so that's why we're taking these actions to just kind of like remove the complexity here a little bit. Hello, Julio. Welcome. Everything is good. Yeah, I hope you're doing well as well. I've been working on my first actual long-term project for a bit over a week now, but I have a clear path in front of me, what I want to do. So my dev time has been very productive. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good situation to be in. It's not a huge project either. Plan on releasing this year and having it ready to go by October for that next fest. Awesome. That's cool. I need to get faster at making games for sure. This one has taken too long, but it's okay. We'll get it done and then move on to whatever. You're welcome, MKRD. Okay, tell you what, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break. Let me commit this. Fix run manager. I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and then when I come back, we have a whole list of things. We have a whole list of things that we need to handle. So I'll be right back in just 3 minutes, and we'll continue on. All right. Sorry about that. I think that was a little bit more than 3 minutes, but we're back. We are back. Move on to stardom. ChatGPT said to me my project takes a minimum of 3 years. Yeah, well, ChatGPT does hallucinate, so you have to keep that in mind. Sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, there's a school of thought where it's like, yep, that's probably true. That's probably true. Games take a long time to make, yes. I think it's better to release 3 games in 3 years than to release 1 game in 3 years. Yeah, I mean, I think sort of like I talk to people who are also solo game developers who are working on their own things. And that seems to be like the kind of consensus right now, especially for like smaller devs, is like you want to release many games very quickly and not take like a year or more to make games. People are talking about wanting to get down to making like 1 game every 6 months, It's like, yeah, I should probably try that as well, but maybe for the next one. Get 3 chances instead of 1 to hit it big, yeah. Doing it all by myself probably is because it's a platformer, I guess. I don't think platformers would take that long to make. I mean, it depends on what the platformer is, right? But this is gonna have to go away as well. This notoriety tier goes away. That goes away. That goes away. I'm gonna have to redo all of the combat and node tier generation stuff as well. Yeah, I'm gonna need to do all that. Gotta go. Have a good rest of your day. All right, thanks for joining, MKRD, and I hope you have a good day as well. Okay. Rebalance node tiers around map gen, figure out what to do with patrol flags. Okay. Can I do this? Rebalance node tiers. Oh, I can. Okay. Rebalance node tiers around map gen. So that's probably the next most important thing to do. Get target score for combat node. Get optimal path score. Additional nodes bias. Reversals. Is this already working? Combat score, score bias. Get optimal path score. I think this needs to use... Yeah, that is using outgoing connections. So let me see something. Debug fog reveal radius 300. We can also get rid of debug notoriety level, delete that. Okay. So maybe these combat encounters are actually increasing in difficulty here. Oh, I think they are actually. Okay, so that's helpful. I think my non-combat nodes are not increasing in difficulty or increasing in tier though. But the combat nodes are definitely getting more difficult. So that's good. Well, that's a pretty cool combat board. I like that one. Okay, so that seems to be working. Now I need to upgrade these tiers, so I gotta figure out how to get my upgrade nodes to be higher tiers now. Compute tier for node. Right. So I just kind of like commented this out. So this is notoriety region, node distance, map.start node, position, extent percent, base tier. I wonder if I do, let me think, compute tier for node. This assign node tier, is this being called anywhere? Oh, upgrade non-combat. Oh, I don't need this anymore. That's going away. We don't need this. Do we need this bosses defeated anymore? What is this doing? Don't think so. So the node tier of upgrade nodes, this needs to be based on probably the distance from the start. But the thing is, I need to know like what the max possible distance from the start is. Because this is kind of like on a scale. So these tier configs here, these define a max tier as well as like a random deviation of the tier. But I need to know, for example, like, so for example, the shop here, the shop has a max tier of 4, but there's 3 regions, right? So that means that, you know, the shop tier should start to increase to 2, probably either at the end of the first region or at the beginning of the second region. And then it needs to go up to 3, and then it should reach 4, tier 4 in the third region. So I almost need to know like what the, yeah, I mean, You'd be surprised how much you can accomplish in just 15 minutes, but you'd also be surprised how little you can accomplish in a day. Yeah. That's a general feeling, keeps me underestimating how long projects take. Yeah. I mean, I'm constantly always amazed about how how much progress you can get done in like a game jam situation. Like I've been in jams before where there's like 12 hours left in the jam and my game looks terrible, and then like 10 hours later it just looks complete. It's cool. It is amazing what you can get done if you're like really focused on what matters. But it's hard to get yourself into that focus mode all the time. Hello, Nano. Welcome back. Good to see you. I'm trying to think of what I want to do here. Extent percent. Can I do something simpler here? Var distance from start to final stronghold. We'll just do map.notoriety regions, notoriety. Where is that constant? Oh, run map generator, I think. Well, actually, let's just do this. Dot position dot distance to map dot start node dot position. So there's our distance. Oops. We'll just put this here, I guess. Node distance to start. Node distance to start divided by distance. Yeah, so that'll be the extent. So that's the percent of the way that we're through the map. This notoriety tier needs to go away. Maybe that will work. These notoriety tiers are no longer necessary. Okay, let's see what that does. Currently making my top-down 2D space survival game, and almost for 1 year can't wrap my mind around inventory. Yeah, inventory is hard. Inventory is very hard. Welcome back, Victor, by the way. Hello, Clickertail. Good to see you. Okay, so we've got reagents tier 1, booster tier 1, card upgrade tier 2, card upgrade tier 2. That should be a tier 1 card upgrade. Reagent tier 2, booster tier 2, enchant tier 2, enchant tier 2, upgrade 3, shop 2, enchant 2, reagents 2, artifact 2, tier 3 shop, obelisk. I still don't like those edges, that's okay. Wonder why that still exists. I gotta figure that out. Artifact 2, reagents 4, card upgrade tier 5. Okay, I actually think this is working pretty good. Use the stream. Are we back? Are we back? I hope we're back. Tier 7 card upgrade. Let me look at that tier config here. Oh, the default config is max tier deviation 0.5. Okay. So yeah, tier 7 card upgrade, that makes sense. Oh my gosh, that's a tier 9 combat. Oh, a tier 10 combat, goodness gracious. These are like boss boards in and of themselves. Might have to tweak that a little bit, but we'll see. Hello, Steve the Manco. Dude, you're so good. Thank you, I guess. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm here. Good to see you again, Emerson. Glad you're here. So yeah, I think that's working. So that was much easier to resolve than I thought it would be. So rebalance node tiers around map gen. Ensure all WFC placement rules are still being respected. I think that's true, but let me just make sure that's still true. Update entropy for placed node. Get connections within depth, yeah. Let me just try something really quick. No, I think it should still be working, but data initializer.log.information at place node position. Okay. I don't really care what that message says. I just want to see if that gets logged, because that will ensure that my node placement rules are still working with this new map gen. I think they should be working, but I just want to make sure. Yeah, okay. Perfect. So that is working. Oh, I already have nodes per region, so I don't need this. Created nodes. We can get rid of this log. We don't need this log. Okay, all right. So I should ensure that saving still works as well. Again, I think the saving should work, but let's just see if it does. So we'll do project settings. We'll turn off ignore save file. And I'm also going to need to validate the tutorial still works. Okay, let's visit the obelisk, I guess. Oh, I also need to rework how obelisk target changes work. So that path is not being updated properly, but that's okay. So if I close this down and I reopen it, I should get exactly that same map out, hopefully. Yeah. Same map, same node's been changed. Fox, Torch, Field Mouse, Villager, Sweet Roll. Oh, it's generating different combats. Okay, so we're gonna need to figure out why that's happening. Chicken, potato. Oh yeah, it's generating different combats every time. Is that true for all of them? Torch, Fox 1, Blacksmith Tools 1. So the affected nodes, the nodes affected by the obelisk are being changed. Arming Sword, Potato, Torch, Fox, Blacksmith Tools. So those combat nodes are being regenerated for some reason. So anything that's affected by the obelisk is being regenerated. So that might have been an existing bug. But as far as I can tell, all the other combats are correct. Yeah. So I'm going to need to address that bug. Morning, Jeremy. Been listening a while, working and seeing you got the game to a good spot. By last Friday, goal was reached, then changing a bunch of key components, but for the better. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is in a good spot. And of course, you know, change the ability system, changing the map now, but though, you know, it looks like it may be using the same combats, but in a different order, though I may not have been seeing that quite right. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Let's see. I mean, it could be the case that it's generating very similar combats because of the relatively low board size. So Dog, Stein, and Sweet Roll. So let's see if we find the Dog, Stein, and Sweet Roll again. There it is. Dog, Stein, Sweet Roll. Is it really just reordering these? Why would it be reordering those? So there must be something about like the order of RNG that's not being called properly. Why is this one always the same? Cat, Sweet Roll, Chicken, Blacksmith Tools, Dog, Stein, Sweet Roll. Maybe it's just the ones that the obelisk changed are not generating correctly. That could be it. Anvil, 1, Dog. Cat. So I'll just read the first one. Cat, Chicken, Dog, Anvil. Cat, Chicken, Dog. That one's not an anvil. Yeah, something weird's happening here. Why is that changing? Some of these aren't changing. Oh, Anvil, Dog is there. Oh. Field Mouse. So maybe, maybe the obelisk node change order is not being preserved. That's probably what it is. I think you're right, Ninja Link. No, I'm actually missing one. Okay, so I don't actually know what's going on here. Why is this one generating the same every time, but these ones are different? Are those health numbers changing too? Anyway, don't really need to figure this out just yet, but I think the blood reward changed. It used to be 38.5, I think. We'll just keep rerunning it until I see it. Hello, Courier Games. Welcome back. Good to see you. All right, well, I'm going to have to figure that out, but all of these ones are still correct. So it's definitely something around when the obelisk data is being loaded. I'll have to figure that out, I suppose. But yeah, so we got the save system. That's going to have to be addressed as well. Anyway, can I get a temperature check? How is everyone feeling about the new map approach? Do you guys like it? Do you not like it? Let me know. I mean, obviously, you know, there's a certain extent, like, we're going to have to play test it, obviously, but no idea because I wasn't here. All right. Well, here's what I'll do. I'll re-explain it, since there's a lot of people that have hopped into the stream since I last explained it. So I'll just do that really quick. Seems a little less chaotic and easier to make choices. I am mixed. I like the idea, but I think there may be a bit of friction when it comes to decisions to be made versus what I would have expected based on previous playtests. I think there may be a bit of friction when it comes to decisions to be made versus what I would have expected based on previous playtests. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by like the friction. Temperature check 23 degrees Celsius. I like this new map. Okay. Progressive difficulty scaling is very cool, and the approach is sounding cool. Awesome. Yeah, so for people who are unaware of the map change, so this is something that we're prototyping now. Let me also put ignore save file on so we're not loading that map. So the map is now a directed graph like Slay the Spire, where you can really only move upward. So you don't have free roam anymore. And you're naturally going to end up at a stronghold at the end of the region. So you're just naturally, like, there's naturally a finite number of decisions you can make. I mean, that was the case before too, but it's more explicitly finite. Like, as I move, I can't backtrack anymore. So when I choose a path, I'm basically closing off a bunch of other paths to myself. So it's just like how Slay the Spire works. But the difference here between the Slay the Spire approach and this one is that the Fog of War still exists, so you can't like plan your route too far ahead of time. And there's a lot more interconnectivity. So for instance, if I wanted to get back over here on this side of the map, I could go up this way and across and over, or I could continue along this side if I wanted to. So there's a lot more interconnectivity, but it's still just generally like you can only move upward. So here I have a choice. Do I want to go through the combats and get up here? Or do I want to take the artifact here? But then I could like skip around, right? So I could avoid this, or I could not go to this combat, go to the artifact here, go to the enchant, and then loop back around this way and go up, right? So there's decisions to be made. Some paths you're going to have more nodes that you can visit. Some paths you're going to have fewer nodes. And that's going to be largely determined by what you want to grab, you know? So if I went this way, you know, I could get, well, actually this path may not be the best path, but, you know, if I wanted the max health increase, I could go straight up that way, or I could go this way around. Obviously, there's some tweaks to be made here about like what kind of decisions the player can make the map a little bit more interesting to navigate, but so here, there's two combats there, and there's two combats here, but I don't know what's up this way. So what I may do as a player is I may choose to go to the enchant and then put myself here, and that will reveal these nodes out here, and then I could make a decision from there. So anyway, that's the new map approach. The reason why I'm doing this now is, like I mentioned before, the previous free roam approach, it was really hard to get it feeling good from like a gameplay perspective, because free roam is like exploration, and there are certain things you need to do to incentivize exploration and make exploration interesting. And that would have required a big scope increase to like lean fully into the exploration side of things. When in reality, like what I'm actually after is not necessarily providing a sense of exploration to the player because it's not an exploration game. What I'm trying to do fundamentally is give the player interesting moment-to-moment decisions, right? And so this directed approach makes that decision-making more explicit, right? If I choose to go this way, then I can't go down that path, right? Or at least I can't visit this node. I could, go through here. But if I went this way, yeah, all that path is closed off to me now, right? And I don't need to come up with like a pressure mechanic on top of it because you're just naturally moving to the stronghold. So like the pressure is the fact that with each step you take, you are getting closer to the stronghold. And so you've got to get your build in order by the time you get to the stronghold or else you're not going to win, right? So the directed graph approach kind of like elegantly solves all the problems with the free roam approach, with the downside of like, yeah, there's no more backtracking, there's no more inquisition strength, all that stuff went away. Now it's just which path are you taking? So it's a much more focused experience. So anyway, that's the change that is currently in place here. And that's what I'm looking for feedback on. Makes sense to me. Well, actually, compared to last playtest, I was able to go anywhere back and forward. I thought this was different because not many other similar titles allow it, but maybe that's for a reason it's not done. Yeah, that's kind of like the conclusion I came to. It's like the reason why you don't see that kind of free roam in these kinds of games is because then it turns into like an exploration game, and that requires a whole different approach to the design, which I think is doable. I still think it's doable to do a free roam in this. It's just like I don't have the skill or the time really to lean fully into that, and I don't have the confidence that even if I did spend a bunch of time leaning into the exploration, I didn't have confidence that that was actually going to create a much more fun gameplay experience, and that would have required a bunch of additional content and new systems as well. And it's just like, again, trying to focus the game down. The Alchemortis is about creating interesting builds with the alchemy system and having interesting moment-to-moment decisions, right? That's the whole goal of the game. So I think that this is just much more focused in on the goals of the game. The map is randomly procedurally generated. Yes, it still is randomly generated, yeah. Adding the forward path graphic you have from the character also appearing when you hover over a future node would be cool. Oh, I see. So like, yeah, highlighting the paths highlighting the nodes that can be visited from the hovered node. Yeah, we can do that. I think that the one potential downside is that you could just end up in a situation where all your paths suck. Free roam allows a player to do what they want, but gating them behind a single path makes it to where they might get pigeonholed into a bad path no matter what. I think that it for sure makes more sense than the pressure concept, but I think you need to make sure to put thought in your paths and how they are generated. Yeah, I mean, and that was already in place, right? Like, so I do have rules about how nodes can be placed. I do have rules about like the edges crisscrossing, or not crisscrossing, but being connected. So like, the thing I don't necessarily like that much about Slay the Spire is that there's very limited opportunities to like travel to a different path once you've committed one. There are opportunities to do so, but it's like a lot of the time you're just going down the same path for multiple steps, and then you have an opportunity to like go over one level, right? But you can see how interconnected this one is, right? So I have a lot more opportunities to like redirect my path and go and change directions and stuff. And then plus the rule system of like making sure like that I have rules in the map generation, like there have to be at least X many health upgrade nodes. There have to be at least X many artifact nodes, so on and so forth. So I am putting a lot of effort from the code standpoint in making sure that the choices are there for you to make, and that, you know, I definitely don't want bad luck to be the reason why you didn't get strong, right? I want it to be more decision oriented. With, of course, the caveat that, yeah, the fog of war still exists, but that's just to prevent the player from planning their entire route ahead of time. I think the fog of war does force interesting decision making, and it's not too punishing. Like, I can see 3 moves ahead, right? So already I know that if I want to potentially be able to visit these nodes here, I know that I can't go up to this path if I want to visit the node that's right here. You know what I mean? So I probably, as a player, would want to visit this node instead, because this is like a central node that kind of branches off in a lot of different ways. and that will give me more opportunities to see what's ahead of me. But the temptation might be like, what if there's a shop node right here? Then I might say, well, I know I'm going to be forsaking these unknowns over here, but I really want that shop. You know what I mean? So I still think that there's going to be interesting decisions. I definitely don't want it to be the case where you just get a bad path and that sucks. So that's why there's a lot of interconnectivity, and that's why there's a lot of rules about like how many of each node have to be placed and so on and so forth. The open world could be another mode or a sequel if it does well enough. Yeah, something like that for sure. It's difficult for me to explain my thoughts here, but when you don't have the full exploration potential, the strategy comes in how you navigate the board. This type of approach works well with Slay the Spire because you can plan on how you gain power. As here, it's possible to end up in scenarios where it's disadvantageous and you just don't know it yet. As long as you have those, I think it makes total sense. There's also the problem where you don't know where the health nodes and chance artifact nodes are, so you can end up on paths where you can't get any. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the point of the obelisk, right? The obelisk is your opportunity to go in and like have some nodes generated that you need, right? So again, like I think all these problems were problems with the previous approach as well. I mean, yeah, it was a little bit more forgiving because you could just backtrack and go get a node that you wanted. But like the obelisk is kind of just like a node that's here for like an opportunity for you to get nodes on the map that you need. I will say one of the nodes that allows you to reroll some of the surrounding nodes to specific ones seems to be more useful now than previously. Yeah, I think so too. The open world can be an endless run mode. I think Ninja Link is making the point that I made, but you justified it pretty well. Yeah, and again, it's just a justification, right? We have to play test it and see how it feels. And if that means like the fog of war has to go away so that players can plan out their route more explicitly ahead of time, like I'm open to doing that too. But we'll see. We'll see. It has to be play tested. But yeah, I think that those problems... So the way that I would say it is like those problems that you guys are bringing up with the directed graph approach are problems that are much more easily solvable than the problems that I was having with the open world approach. So I'm pretty confident that even if like the next play test with this version of the game has problems, like those are going to be a lot more easily addressable than the many problems that were present with the free roam. And, you know, there still are opportunities to do something interesting, you know, like the idea of having teleport nodes is still possible because I could have like a teleport node here and a teleport node here, and it's like, oh, now I can hop back down here and go down this path, right? I think there are still opportunities to do stuff like that to allow some kind of limited backtracking, or maybe the cloak item becomes an item that allows you to backtrack like once every 5 moves or something, you know what I mean? So like there are opportunities here to like bend the rules a little bit with some mechanics and artifacts and whatnot. But yeah, we'll see. So bigger question, next playtest when? That's a good question. Originally I wanted it to be at the end of this month, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe, I don't know. Hello, So Big Drassel. Just wanted to say, giant thank you. Your video are a great help to learn how Godot works. You're welcome. Thank you for your message. Appreciate that. And thanks for joining the stream. I, for one, am sold on the change. Okay, we got one person sold on the change. Excellent. But yeah, I mean, I definitely hear all your concerns. I think, you know, we'll see. Like, again, the thing that I want to do is make sure that all the systems in the game are working very well together. And I didn't feel like the free roam was working that well with the rest of the game. And it's possible that this directed graph approach won't work for one reason or another. Like I'm pretty set. I'm pretty committed on like, I want the gameplay experience to feel very tight and engaging and like interesting. And we're going to keep iterating and reworking stuff as necessary to make that the case. So, you know, this is not a change that's set in stone. If it needs to change again, it will change again for sure. I'm always open to changes, just like to voice my concerns as well. Yeah, and I appreciate that for sure. I appreciate that. Keep the concerns coming. That's why I ask for them. I want the concerns to come. I have, Anyway, yeah, all I'm saying is that those concerns are very helpful, and we'll keep addressing them. We'll keep trying to fix them. I've never actually played your game. Okay, interesting. You are a trusted advisor. Yeah, that's true. Ninja Link is a trusted advisor. When Ninja Link speaks, I listen. Maybe some nodes could be bidirectional too. Could be a fun addition. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Or, it could just be a node type. It could be like a waypoint node or like a crossroads node. And like you can visit any node connected to the crossroads node, right? So you just visit the crossroads and then it's like, oh, like let's say this was a crossroads node right here. And I was like, oh yeah, there's an enchant right there, or maybe this node is not super appealing, but something along this path is, but I've already committed to this path. Well, hit the crossroads node and then dip down and then go up, right? So like I said, there are opportunities to like make the movement not so rigid and give the player some limited chances to backtrack. I definitely think that we can do something like that for sure. Actually, that's a good idea. I want to write that down. Crossroads in directed graph approach allow traveling to any connected node. I'm concerned about so many things. I think forcing structure first allows you to then later break that rule if you desire to, which gives creativity. Crossroads would need a random event to pop, like meeting a shopkeeper or maybe just some lore stuff. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. A lore stuff would be cool. Crossroads, yeah, it could be a random event for sure. Yeah, it could be dual purpose. Crossroads gives you an unknown event. Could even be just like a combat. But then the reward for getting through that random event is you can go wherever you want from that node. For question, do you use work tree in Git? I don't know. I'm not very up to date, or I'm not very familiar with like all the terminology. So I think I could be mistaken. There's somebody in the chat that's more knowledgeable than me, but I think the work tree is just like something that you're always interacting with, regardless of if you're aware of that or not. How do you handle the relationship between game state and visual animations? Right now, I'm struggling to not give visuals control over the state, but also state must change after or during animations. Yeah, that's just like a classic problem. So one thing you can do is if you really don't want to make it the game state contingent directly on an animation, what you can do is you can make it contingent on a timer that has a time equal to the time that it takes to play that animation. So your core logic is still following its own flow independent of the animations, but it's just like mirroring how long it takes for the animation to take. That can get very unwieldy very fast though, but there are cases in Alchemy Mortis where I'm doing kind of that thing where it's like I want to wait for an animation to finish, but I also don't want to hook directly into that animation and like listen for a signal or something. So I just like, I either make the time like a timer match the animation, or I make the timer slightly longer than the animation. So I kind of get like this implicit guarantee that the animation is going to finish before the state advances, but they're not like tightly coupled together. You know what I mean? There are problems with that approach too. I'm not saying that is an approach you should definitely take, but it is an option. Do the obelisks now force changes to adjacent nodes instead of just random nodes in its area? I can change that. I mean, I think if it changes random nodes, they're going to be random nodes along the paths that you can visit from the obelisk. So obviously the obelisk is going to be useless if it changes nodes that are below it because you can't visit them. So I think the minimal change I'll make to the obelisk is just choose a bunch of random nodes that are guaranteed accessible from where the player currently is and change those nodes, right? It could just be adjacent nodes too, but I think it would be fun for the obelisk to have the potential to like generate the nodes in a row along one path, so you could hit that like health upgrade twice, for example. Whereas if I just did adjacent nodes, it would generate, you know, all of those nodes for you, but then you could only visit one because they're all branching to in different ways, right? Would be fun to be at crossroads and by chance you encounter something. Yeah. Who's this knowledgeable person? Signals. Attacked Jackie Daytona twice. Yeah, signals. Yeah, signals are probably the cleaner way to go. A pattern that kind of follows that is the model view presenter, same concept. With the new map direction, are there active artifact or cards that affect the fog of war currently? Yeah, the telescope increases your fog of war reveal radius by 1. So actually the benefit to the telescope, at least of this new map approach, is that the telescope is going to become a lot more powerful, because seeing 4 nodes ahead in the free roam was just kind of like not that useful because you can just walk around and reveal nodes to your heart's content. But now that your choices are actually going to close off paths to you, being able to see farther ahead in the fog of war is actually going to be really strong, right? Got to have the option to sell your soul at one of those crossroads. Ooh, that's a good idea. Maybe you sell your soul for like a really powerful cursed card, but then it comes back to haunt you later in the form of like an extra powerful card on the boss board or something, like an exorcist. Ooh, that would be kind of cool. Like, oh, you sell your soul, you get this nice little bonus. You're wandering along, minding your own business. You end up at the boss board, and you're like, oh, this is going to be easy. And boom, right alongside the boss is an exorcist, and he's like going to smack you down. Telescope is going to be mega useful now. Yeah, I think so. Maybe you could have an upgrade or something that reveals the golden path briefly to show you the best path to take. Oh, an artifact that shows you a path that contains a very powerful node. That could be useful as well. Maybe like a crystal ball. Hellhounds start chasing you. Yeah, something like that. Well, remember the enemy faction is the good guys, so it would have to be heckhounds instead of hellhounds. But yeah. Your soul could also be an enemy item itself. Yeah, that could be. Yeah. I also thought it would be interesting to have an event where you have to fight yourself. That's a classic thing in like kind of like RPG games or whatever, where you have this little gimmicky area of the game where it's like, oh, you got to fight yourself now. That could be a really interesting event in this game because, I mean, I don't even know how that would work. Maybe you would just end up killing yourself. But no, I guess not, because yeah, I don't know how that would work. Maybe that wouldn't work that well, but anyway. The compass from pirates that points to your heart's desire. Who's to say hellhounds are part of any faction? That's true. Can we have access to the command console with add card command when the game ships? I'll think about it. So that the access to that cheat console is controlled by a feature flag, and so I guess it's feasible that I could just spin up a different branch in Steam with that feature flag enabled and just like do the classic things like disable achievements and whatnot. I'll consider it. I don't think it would hurt. I'd be fighting with myself every day, man. You could have a series of artifacts like enchant detector that always shows you the direction of the nearest enchant node. Oh yeah. So instead of like showing you just optimal path, it will just be like go this way if you want to find an enchant. A mirror fight would be a fun optional boss encounter, yeah. You would always win because the enemy will start taking damage over time. I have to say, the more I'm talking and brainstorming with you guys, the more I'm feeling very confident about this new map approach. Like, there's already so many interesting things that I can do now, which were not really that doable on the free roam version. Like, even I think even the idea of like having a teleport node is a lot more compelling when your movement is limited versus when you have free roam, right? So yeah, I think but see, the fact that so many ideas are being generated from this change leads me to believe that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm kind of getting that impression as well. You know, not to over-validate my effort that I spent reworking this, but I am seeing like a lot of opportunities to do a lot more interesting things now. And the thing is, like, it's going to take minimal effort. Like, all those ideas we just talked about are really not that big of efforts. Restrictions on the player create opportunity for mechanics, yeah. Is the wandering flag still a thing? Would make routing more strategic if you need to avoid a certain route? So I want to change the patrol flag to be an elite fight instead, probably. Whether it will be able to move around the map or whether I will just keep it, like, I'll just plant it and keep it static there. I haven't decided that yet. Because what I don't want to end up in a situation where is like you're on a path where you have basically no options to get off that path for a couple of hops, and then the patrol flag plants itself right in front of you and you have to fight that fight even if you didn't want to. That's kind of the situation where I'm a little bit hesitant about. But I think like planting the flag and just keeping it at that spot is maybe a good middle ground. Because then it's like you can still see the flag. You can see the flag through the fog of war. It's revealing the nodes around it. So you can kind of get a little bit of a hint of like what's in that area. And then if you choose to fight the fight, you can go and choose a path that deliberately leads into it, right? In that case, the patrol flag could be changed to something else, like a loot goblin. Yeah, that's definitely true. Pat yourself on the back. If it's just an elite, you can have a few of them on the map at the beginning, middle, and end of the map, so you can fight a handful of them if you're feeling spicy. Yeah, so the idea is like each region would still have like 1 or 2 elite fights that you could seek out if you wanted to. But they're disabled for now. All the functionality is there. I literally just, if I look at my seeded run, this generate patrol flag configurations, I'm just returning null out of here, but like all the underlying code is still there, so I can bring it back. Okay. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for the stream for now. I'm going to go eat some lunch. I'm very hungry. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. It's very much appreciated. Again, you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. That would be a great way to help me out. You can also, follow all my socials, follow me on Twitch, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'll let you know when I'm streaming next in the Discord, which you can also join. But otherwise, I'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. So thanks again, everyone. I appreciate the support. Thanks for helping me think through these issues as always. And yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, take care, everyone, and bye-bye for now.